do children have to spend the same hours at school as parents do at work? What makes it weirder is that when adults come home, they can drop their keys on the table, kick off their shoes, sink into the couch, turn on the TV, follow a hobby, go for a run, just breathe. The time becomes theirs again. But kids, when we come home, the day still isn't over. Homework, studying, presentations, worksheets, deadlines chasing us into your bedroom. But imagine adults bringing their office home every night. Emails at dinners, reports at midnight, boss calling on a Sunday. Everyone would say that's toxic, that's unhealthy, that's a burnout. They protest, complain, demand boundaries. But when kids do it, they just call it school. It's fresh off saying, relax, that's normal. When we were young, we had to do the same thing. Like suffering is kind of a tradition we're supposed to inherit.
They get paid. We have to pay.
Shut your fucking mouth!
In this video, I want to talk about one of the most trolled TikTokers on the platform right now. Her name is Mina Dragonfruit. Chances are if you clicked onto this video, you probably already know who she is, but for those of you who do not know, she is a TikToker who mostly posts spoken word poetry about her teenage adolescence. These poetry videos have amassed a large audience for her of 647,000 followers on TikTok, and only within a year. She started posting in November 2025, and she also has 178,000 subscribers on YouTube. This is massive growth within 1 year, and you would think her audience would be more friendly, but it's actually the opposite. Whenever she posts a video on TikTok, the comments are filled with trolls. Comments like first time trying to ratio, kinda nervous, and comments about her reading a script made by ChatGPT. I have not seen this level of trolling since the cut a board guy. So you might be wondering, how does a person with this large of a following in such a short amount of time receive so much hate? Unfortunately, it's because her poems are pretty bad. Her takes are pretty childish, and they're also just very cringy, and she speaks with this level of determination like she's a modern-day Shakespeare, and she uses the same audio on every TikTok, which has gotten to the point that the artist who made the audio commented on her video to stop using it. But the thing that is so impressive about Mina is that she has used this level of trolling to gain a lot of traction. She continues to do the bit even if no one likes it because she gets engagement from the hate. I'm not going to lie, she's very brave for that. I don't think I would ever want to post videos on social media that constantly get slandered even if it means I make money off of it. However, Mina has so much confidence in her ability to write poetry, she is expanding her empire into writing a book of poetry called Slicing the Dragonfruit. Right now, the book is available on Amazon and the description says, I hate unfairness, so I turn my emotions into poetry. Slicing the Dragonfruit dives into the frustration of expectations, school, the chaos of teenage life, and truths society often ignores. These poems are raw, relatable, and maybe a bit too harsh to handle, but I write them to release my own stress and anger and make people feel seen, understood, and most importantly, less alone. And immediately looking at the reviews, it is rated an unexpected 2.6 out of 5 stars to 156 reviews. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it would be much lower than that. But then when I clicked on the reviews to read what people had to say about the book, the reviews looked to be either 5 stars or 1 stars and no in between. You have reviews like, this is amazing, 5 stars, and other reviews like, if you want real poetry that moves the soul, go read The Masters. If you want a master class in how not to write, read this. Save your money and your time. Slicing the Dragonfruit is an absolute joke. Calling this a book of poetry is an insult to the entire written word. It is fundamentally terrible. Every single line feels forced, hollow, and painfully unoriginal. She writes about slicing the dragonfruit as if she's delivering some deeply profound, multi-layered philosophical revelation, but the entire concept collapsed under its own pretentious weight. It's literal surface-level venting disguised as art. 1 star. So I think it's probably safe to say the good reviews are from fans of Mina, and the bad ones are from people who actually read books and take it seriously. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched to assume this book is really bad and a waste of money. However, I'm ashamed to tell you, I bought the book and I read it. And I would like to say first, I am not belittling how she feels or saying it's stupid she's writing about that. Because all of her emotions are valid and she can have potential to write great poetry with it. And I don't want to spoil my opinions about it, but it's not very good poetry. But anyways, the book is separated into 1 intro and 3 chapters, and the first chapter is called Unripe Skin, and the second chapter is called Bruised Flesh, and the third is called Spilled and Stained. These chapters follow in reference to her first poem in the intro. The first poem describes a dragon fruit as something not easy to love, with lines that say, "It grows like a dragon, not neat, not careful, but everywhere at once, spilling over edges like it was never meant to fit in the first place." The poem basically just describes a dragon fruit as something that is messy, and in order to understand it, you have to slice it open and get messy. Almost like Obviously, it's a metaphor for how Mina feels about herself, but unironically, this might be the best poem in the entire book. It's kind of an interesting metaphor, but unfortunately it falls off directly after this into the next chapter. While I was reading the beginning of this chapter, I literally could not stop thinking about her TikToks. They're all just stuff she's already posted. Stuff about insecurity, growing up, expectations, and being at an awkward stage of life. Like I said before, very boring and generic takes. This continues to every chapter in the book, and she also really likes to end poems with crazy one-liners, like on page 37 where she talks about math. "So don't quit doing math. One day you'll find the X you have been looking for. This isn't about math." And another poem about a man insisting on eating a woman's food during a date. "And the man smirks and says, 'See, that wasn't so hard.' But this was never about food." Another poem, "How do you even talk without being misunderstood? How do you laugh without being pick-me? I guess you can't." And finally, "The system programmed us to be unaware, careless, and asleep, that we are just existing, not living. Wake up." Which, once again, these poems are completely fine, and I'm not making fun of her for writing about these things, but they're actually the dumbest thing I've ever read. She writes with little unique perspective, and the poems often just land flat. Most people have already had these thoughts, and she doesn't provide any new perspectives. Not a single time during my reading did I think, wow, I never thought of it like that. And more than that, there doesn't seem to be a clear thesis in this book at all. It's mostly just rambling. However, even though I do not particularly enjoy her videos, and I thought her book was kind of trash, do I think Mina deserves all the hate and trolling she gets? Yes, her videos are corny and she has often unintelligible takes. However, she is a 16-year-old girl, and I believe solely because she's a minor, it is wrong to hate on her openly on the internet. I think you're kind of weird if you just make videos where you mock her. It really does just seem like low-hanging fruit to bully a minor with a lisp. Plus, in my opinion, at least Mina is creating something, and some people only make content that essentially copies her. Not only that, but all the TikToks she does make are really only meant to inspire people to a certain degree, and I don't think there's anything negative about that. I really do not think she means absolutely any harm. However, I do think she is aware that she is at a lolcow status, and she seems to be abusing it at this point. Instead of making videos she actually believes is good poetry, it's more just about rage baiting, and some videos I notice she looks up above the camera like she's reading a script, even though the video has no script, and people just eat that shit up. And I have to admit, she is incredibly smart for doing that. But in the meantime, while she keeps posting this goy slop onto her TikTok, there's going to be people who keep making videos about her, keep making fun of her, keep trolling her, including me. And I think we'll just enjoy it in the meantime because we're filling her wallet with money, and I did just buy her book, so that'll be all.